Afternoon, everyone. Hi, Mack. So today we are so privileged to have Mack here, our English specialist, and he's going to give us very good tips for comprehension, for PSLE comprehension. Because Mack, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, Jasline. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited to share, some tips and strategies for our reading comprehension.
It's a section that a lot of students, in primary school have issues, and I would actually list out a few problems, the common problems that students have, and I hope Teacher Mack can actually share with us simple strategies that can be used for children that are of different at different English levels, whether you are just maybe still not very proficient in English, those students that are really quite well versed in English, because comprehension is actually a skill subject, like a skill section, right? Mac, do you agree that?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. It is very skills based.
So once we master the skills and the strategies, right, the chances of getting a higher grade will be much higher. So do not think that is a level of your English that it will bring you to an A, right? So we are all here to get A's. I think Teacher Mack has shared with me a very inspiring note, is that we have to go to a destination where we want to bring you to, and that is an A, right? So that's very inspirational, and thank you. So my first question is actually what common problem is that a lot of students ask me, how many times should I read the passage? And does it mean that the more times I read, the clearer and the better I can answer the question? Yeah, Teacher Mack, can you share with us?
Wow, that is a wonderful question. And a lot of students ask me the same as well, especially when it is a timed exam, right? You can't be spending so much time reading, and then never getting to answer the questions. So it's really important to manage your time, and I would recommend the students actually read the passage a maximum of 2 to 3 times, right? But the way that we should read our passage isn't from start to finish. What I recommend is my students to read the questions first, right? Read the questions first, so that when you read the passage for a first time, right, you are not going into it blind, right? You have a better understanding of what you're going to be looking for when you are reading. Now, when you read the passage, another tip is to read it paragraph by paragraph by paragraph, right? So understand the ideas of the first paragraph before you move on to the second one. It's absolutely okay if you have to, reread one paragraph over again so that you can understand the whole passage, rather than reading the whole thing over and over again. Right, so yeah, absolutely. This is a helpful tip.
Yes, we always must make sure that we have the time management on our side, because the more you spend the time reading, there will be less time for you to actually write the answers.
Exactly.
Yes. I think I learned about the read question part. So does it mean to say that you just glance through the questions quickly? Is that what is
very good question. So I would actually annotate the questions, right? So rather than glancing through the questions very quickly, sure, you can read them, but it's also helpful for our students to annotate questions so that they know the question keywords, right? This is really important as well. This includes line numbers, right? Where to look in the passage. Our 5W, 1H, right? Will really help determine the question type, right? As well as the various other keywords that are specific to the text, right? These are things that you want to look out for, and you can underline them or circle them or highlight them, right? Annotations is actually really helpful for reading questions.
That's right. Okay, so I think annotation is another student's issue, because students think that it's a time, they do not have a lot of time, so they do not want to do annotation. So my simple tip for students out here is that you can just go through the passage paragraph by paragraph, like what Teacher Mack said, and do very simple annotation. It could be a phrase, it could be a note to say, okay, this character, could be very angry because he's actually throwing things. I feel it's a kind of a habit where you go through the paragraph and you understand what is the important point that they are trying to illustrate, whether the character is they're illustrating the character as an angry person, or what happens to the story. So that's our tip number 1 about reading. Okay.
I completely agree. Yes.
Yes. So let's have the second question. Okay, so this is a question about vocabulary. Okay. Yes. So I think there's a lot of students out there that they feel that if I don't understand that phrase, how am I going to answer the question according to the passage? Or maybe they give you a word and ask you to find a similar meaning from the passage. So they are a little bit flustered, and then probably they give up. And that's not a good sign, right? So Teacher Mack, can you share with us a tip on this? Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's a really great question as well, is when we don't know vocabulary. Well, I like to think of this question as kind of the opposite. If you don't know certain vocabulary, then there is words that you do know, right? So we can actually use a process of elimination based on everything that we do know in the paragraph. All the words we know, we can actually eliminate them, right? And recognize that, okay, we know these words don't answer the question, right? So we're going to be left with answers that we don't know. Then let's say we've narrowed it down to maybe 3 words in the passage that are possible answers to the question. What we can do here is understand the ideas in each of those sentences and even consider a replacement strategy. Right? So for example, if they're asking for a vocabulary word in the question, right, let's try to match that to the passage and see if it works. Right? So this is an interesting technique when we don't know certain vocabulary, is using contextual clues, right? Clues from the passage based on the context, and a process of elimination and replacement, right? By understanding the words we don't know to find out how we can answer the question.
Okay, I understand. Teacher Mack is like a smart guess, taking into account those that you know, and then you come out with a few that you're not sure, and that could be one of the answers to the question. So do not actually give up, students out here. Yeah, so do your best, and it will take a little bit of time, right? But I feel that it's important we actually attempt every question. Right?
Yeah, I really agree with that, because if you don't answer a question, then you're guaranteed 0 marks. Yes, exactly. Right? So, writing something, you never know. You might get the answer. So absolutely, Jasline, I agree. Never to give up.
Yeah.